Hello, everyone. Today I have with me Jerod from A Place at Home franchise. Jerod and I go way back. I placed one of his first few franchisees into his system. Jerome, who is doing just absolutely fantastic. Jerod is the one that created this with his partner Dustin. I placed at home, so Jerod's going to go into his background, what brought him into becoming a franchise, because Jerod actually started out as not a franchise. He started this out as his own business and decided to get into franchising, grow his business through franchising. So Jerod's going to go into a little bit of both about what it takes to become a franchise itself. And then he's going to also go into the senior care franchise business, what A Place at Home does for its franchisees. Jerod, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder, so take it away. How about a little background information about you, how you got started, and why you went into franchise and become a franchise?
You bet, Greg, and thanks for having me. As you said, we go way back, and you helped us to secure Jerome, a franchisee of A Place at Home in Portland, Oregon. So Jerome is doing great things, and so glad to have him and many others a part of the system. But let's rewind a little bit back prior to that. My background in business started in college, where I got my, I had triple majors in small business management, general management, and real estate and land use economics. Not really knowing exactly where I was going to go with those in life, I continued forward. At one time thinking I was going to start a landscaping company. Ended up getting my broker's license in real estate as I graduated college and started a real estate career back in 2008, which, as you can imagine, was not the best of times to start in real estate, but it definitely gave me a lifelong lesson of what it takes to be successful, roll up your sleeves, work hard, and get things done, and ultimately achieve some of my goals and create a great business. Along the way, I had met not necessarily meet, my childhood friend Dustin DiStefano and I were meeting and started talking about life and some of the things that we were noticing within our families. With his great grandmothers and my grandparents, there simply wasn't enough family and enough of us to go around and be the grandsons and great grandsons that we once were. And this was really putting a toll on us. And we decided to create a solution. At that time, not even realizing there was other solutions out there. But after investigating the industry and realizing that in-home care was a solution and a fantastic solution for our grandparents, we decided that not only did we want them to have these services, but we wanted to create a business that was even better, that was more of a solution centered on ultimately what our clients, what our grandparents would need to keep them successful and independent in their homes. That journey started back in 2012. So this is our 10-year anniversary year, going into 10 years of business ownership with A Place at Home. It's been quite a roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of learning along the way, and a lot of growth, personally, professionally, and with our businesses, a lot of growth. And so throughout the years, we continue to grow A Place at Home in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where our corporate location is. Grew it into a multi-million-dollar company, added additional service lines. And again, with that focus of keeping our clients as independent as possible, and by creating a solution that could really follow them through their aging process. And we decided that we had something special, that we wanted to not only service those in the Omaha metro area, but across the United States. And this was no light decision in deciding on how we were going to scale. Of course, we could have just opened up more locations. And in fact, we did open up a second location, which taught us a lot on how to replicate our model, quickly then turning our focus onto franchising. So we decided to franchise A Place at Home because of some things we realized along that way and along that process. But ultimately, we wanted business owners with stake in the game that were willing to, just like we did, roll up our sleeves and make sure at the end of the day that our clients and our caregivers were getting the best possible experience for working with us. And we didn't feel that someone who we were hiring for this job could give as much as an owner. again, somebody that really has that stake in the game, and that is their business. So that was the ultimate driving factor into us franchising. But that was no light move. We had to take all of our policies, our procedures, our manuals, our handbooks. We had to convert them into franchising manuals and handbooks and make sure we were interacting with franchise attorneys and other resources to make sure that along the way we were doing things right. Document, franchise agreement, and connected with so many vendors to make sure that we could not only replicate what we were doing, but then offer those same services to others. If there was any holes that we had within our processes or within our ability to support franchisees, again, we partnered with other vendors, suppliers, and contractors to make sure that we could fill those gaps. You know, two young guys starting a senior care business. We were told we were crazy over and over again, starting a franchise, told we were crazy over and over again, but you know, we didn't let it stop us. And so thankfully we have continued. We in 2017 decided to make that plunge into franchising, launching our first 3 locations in 2018, and now at 23 locations to date, have grown and have franchise locations from coast to coast. Really looking forward to what 22 has in store, but also along that journey, we have found other franchise business opportunities that not only will help support our other franchise owners, our current franchise owners, but also seniors in need, Greg. So wanted to at least provide you with that background. That was about, you know, a good 10 plus years of history kind of wrapped up in the last couple of minutes, but
So you got personal experience then in the senior care industry with parents, grandparents that you needed to take care of. So you know firsthand, it's not just a business, it's personal for you as far as taking care of family. That's
absolutely.
That's fantastic.
And Greg, you know, just like you had mentioned Jerome earlier, that's one of the driving factors in our franchisees is their why. You know, there's 1,000 businesses out there that they could start, but why a place at home? You know, it really comes down to what is their goals, what's their goals in life, you know, and our franchise owners, they want a business with a purpose that they can grow and scale and, you know, still have some of the freedoms of business ownership, but at the end of the day, lay their head down on their pillow and really feel good about what they've done.
That is true. Most of my people are looking for not only, you know, something that's going to make them money, but a purpose in life, something that they can feel good about. So when they get up in the mornings, they are excited to go about doing what they're doing. And I know Jerome definitely was, and definitely good business for it. But along the way, you know, I even wrote an article about emerging franchises. When we first started with Jerome, there wasn't too many franchisees you had. And one of the reasons why I put down that to look at emerging franchises, because you're not just buying in the business, you're investing in the people behind the franchise system. And I know Jerome wanted to look at franchise systems that had many, many franchisees. But when it came down to it, he wanted to invest in you, in Jerod and Dustin, and he felt good about you two with that personal experience.
You know, as Jerome, you know, bought ease, they're not only bought into us, but our team, but you know, we still make sure we give everyone that personal attention. You know, they have our cell phone numbers, right? They're not calling a you know, a call center and leaving a message to get answers to things. They're sending us text message and G chats, and we're on a, you know, Facebook community that we've created internally with our other owners. So we're only ever seconds away from, you know, fantastic resources and the owners, right? We have their back and we do what we can to make sure that they're going to be successful.
And that goes into the support systems that you have. Not only did Jerome look at you and say, yes, these two guys are who I want to partner with and be a business with, but their support systems are just fantastic. So can you go into a little bit about what your franchisees discover as they go through, talk to you about it, and how you support your franchises?
Absolutely. Well, it starts on day one. As soon as they sign that franchise agreement, we have an automated system that we simply plug and play. It's got over 220 different tasks that they need to complete in order to launch their business. We don't just hand it over to them and say, here you go, we'll see you later. But we have weekly coaching calls that take them through that process. We set timelines, expectations. We make sure who is completing what task and when. And so in that process, we reverse engineer from the day that they're going to open up their doors all the way back to that day when we're having that, that initial launch call. And, we devise their launch specific for them. Some owners have, varying degrees of other responsibilities, whether it be kids or other jobs they're trying to work with as they work their way into business ownership. But again, we really build that timeline along them. Any specialty projects, we're connecting with them. We're working on them one-on-one, such as like licensing an estate, right? We're, hand in hand working with them with their applications and submitting it to the state and staying on the state, making sure that those things are being completed. Site selection, working with their attorney to see what business model, whether it be an LLC or a C corporation, S corporation, what is the best mode forward. Those are just some of the very few things that we, go through in that 220 plus step process through launch. But that doesn't stop there. Once they launch, we have, again, some pretty established and determined expectations as to what's going to happen from our side and their side moving forward. So they open their door and we don't just say, see ya, in 30, 60, 90 days, hope all is well. Right? We continue those weekly coaching calls. We go through all their initial payroll, billing. We work with them with their QuickBooks and chart of accounts to make sure that things are being reconciled and reconciled correctly. We are overseeing and helping them with some of their initial interviews and client interviews to make sure that they're saying what they need to be saying to bring in people, and that they are, going through all those different actions that need to happen to make sure that the business gains that momentum up front. We continue that process over those next 90 days, including an on-site visit to where we can get into their market. We can see who they're talking to, what they're saying, and ultimately give them that hands-on approach as to how we can walk them through that process and get into their operations and really see what are they doing right, what are they doing wrong, what do they need help with, and get them that great start that they need to, right? But that continues on, right? We continue to work with them until they've hit different checkpoints of business. And honestly, we work with them on coaching calls throughout the remainder of their 10 years of the agreement. We do have franchise owners that are, upwards of 3 to 4 million a year now. They think, well, we don't need the coaching calls. We got this. We know what we're doing. Well, that's not always the case, right? There's always things out there that people don't understand, don't know, or could need additional help with. And if there comes a time when someone and the owner is not wanting to continue those coaching calls, we take one of their members of their team on and we coach them, whether it be someone who's doing their hiring and recruiting, their marketing and advertising, their sales and outreach, or perhaps just scheduling. But we continue those coaching calls on a weekly basis to make sure that their business is fully optimized. We also work in what's called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS, with every single one of our owners. We have devised kind of our own internal system where we can help them track their key performance indicators, their scorecards that they're going through and marking on an ongoing basis. Really gives us a finger on the pulse as to how their company is performing, and gives them a finger on the pulse as to how their company and how their people are performing. We continue that to make sure that they're focused on those number one things that they need to get done over that next 90 days that are going to allow them to hit that year goal and ultimately their 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year goals. So we help, with them in that entrepreneurial operating system and implement that into our weekly coaching calls as well. So Greg, we really do get hands-on. By no means are we trying to micromanage or take the process over ourselves. It is our franchise owner's business. We want them to have that control of their business and, all the control of what those goals are. But we are that backbone in trying to help that support and making sure that they get done.
Sounds like it from day one, you're there with getting the site selections, the licensing, all the way to what is your 5 to 10-year goal plan and what are you doing on a daily basis. So just absolutely a partner in their success to wherever they want to go to. That's outstanding. So how do How do you find those great people, those people that are going to be your ideal franchisee or that you want to partner with? What are you looking for?
Yeah. So, we first start off with what characteristics we're looking for in an individual owner. We had talked about it being more of a mission driven business, and therefore we want people who, at the end of the day, they care, right? It's an in-home care company. They have to care. That's also our core values. Care is being compassionate, accountable, respectful, and ethical. So, we really do our best in the upfront to try to find people who are implementing and really showing those characteristics. Now, you can't just, go to a phone book and start pointing out names and saying, yeah, this person's care, that person's care. But, we, in our overall characteristic of what that person looks like, we are looking for people who do have a competitive streak in them, right? It's a competitive industry. And we don't want to shy away from the competitiveness. We want those that are going to go head to head with others in their market. And it's friendly competition. It most certainly is one of the friendliest competition environments I've ever seen in business, which is fantastic. A lot of shared business, but ultimately do have to have that competitive nature to continue to grow and continue to build their business. Type A personalities seem to, overall really have some of the best trajectory of growth in our business. Those who, they do want to have that oversight and make sure that the different functions in the business are optimized and really working together. On top of that, business professionals that have shown their ability to manage people, right? We are building a team. We are building a small army of people that are going to be out in the field helping clients every single day. So they have to have that ability to not only manage those people in their office and that administrative staff, but to be able to oversee, engage, and really make sure that that caregiving staff that they have is both optimized, bought into their culture, and always trying to make sure that they're retaining, their care staff. So having that business experience is great. Now, that's not necessarily all the things we look for, whether it be the management side or more the sales side. We have some amazing owners right now that, their background was in sales, and they can really drive the business forward and get out into the community and that referral marketing. And we see some of those as being our top producers. However, the sales side will only get you so far if you don't have a strong operations to support it on the back end. So therein lies that management and ability to manage that team. We have some former entrepreneurs, some people who had started their own businesses in the past and have grown businesses themselves. So that is also something that we've noticed as characteristics. But once we really build that profile, it's on us to be able to really tell consultants, right? Like you, Greg, who it is that we're looking for and who will be successful with our business. About 50% of all of our franchisees to date have come from consultants. So that has been most certainly one of the best partnerships we could possibly have, is partnering with consultant groups. Secondly, of course, there's their paid lead generators, and there's no shortage of places that'll send you people. And that's a numbers game. You don't really get as much opportunity to pick and choose your characteristics and type of people coming through the pipeline. However, you can do some advertising and some marketing centered around that with imagery and different keywords that are going to really drive people who have that mission-based focus to better narrow down who that pool of people is that are coming to you. And to date, some of the best people that we have ever had have come through organic means from our website and social media efforts, right? And so both of those allow us, people coming to our website, they see us, they see our mission, our vision, our values. They've done research on us, they're engaged, and they want to know more information. And on social media, the messaging that we put out there really does portray who are those ideal people that we would want and that we know would be successful. And that helps to drive them in and then take them, into business ownership and success with a place at home.
Wow, that is a lot of things you need to consider when you're looking into finding a franchisee for your system to get that perfect one, because obviously nobody wants anybody to fail. So narrowing it down to that right person is very vital both for growing a place at home and just franchising if you're growing a franchise in general on that. Now, you mentioned that your people are going to go out and network on a regular basis. What is a typical day in the life of a franchisee like? What can people expect when they get into the senior care business?
Yeah, no, great question. I will say that, of course, through the launch phase in the early days of business ownership, your day is going to look a lot different than once you've established your internal administrative team and you've grown and more stabilized and have that stable growth. But once you have implemented in that team, that day in the life is going to depend on what your strengths are. So we work with our owners to see, are you more inclined to oversee and lead the operational aspect of the business, making sure that your recruiting efforts are in place, your operational policies, procedures are being followed, your books are in line, your payroll and your billing are being completed, and your schedules, being optimized? Or are you more inclined to be out in the community, right, and talking to social workers, nurses, and others in the community that are going to be those people who are driving in business, as well as going and signing clients? So if you do have that, the gift of gab, and you don't have any problems of being in front of people and telling them who you are and why you're doing what you're doing and why they should be using a place at home, if that is your strength, then your day is going to look very much like networking, going on building a community of supporters around you to send you people who are going to be building that a place at home client base, right? As well as the caregiver base. It's important more now than ever that we are out and doing some non-traditional marketing for our caregivers, going to nursing colleges, community colleges, and speaking in front of them, and going to career fairs, and making sure that not only are we really being seen in the healthcare community on the client side, but also on the employee side, right? And so that most certainly could be your path and what you do, or you could kind of take more of the aspect of the oversight of those day-to-day operational measures I had talked to you before. Now, eventually, you're going to grow to the point to where you have people doing both of those things, and you are going to be the overseer, right? You're going to be more focused on higher level decision making, right? What is the next step in your a place at home path? How am I going to take this business from 1.5 or 2 million to 3 million to 4 million to 5 million and beyond, right? And you can't necessarily get there by simply working in the business all of that time. You have to also spend some time working on the business. So as you continue to grow, right, from day one, when you may be wearing all those hats, do you start getting some of those employees and start taking some of those responsibilities and putting them on to others within your team, until you finally have more of that enterprise model to where you're sitting at the top and you have people doing those things full time, and you're focused on growth. That's a little bit of a day in the life of what somebody at the place at home, business ownership side could look like from kind of day one through, year 5 to 10.
Perfect. Gives everybody a good idea of what they can expect as they go into the senior care business of a franchise. Good. I love that. Now let's take a little step back. And how about as a franchisor, going from one franchise to 10 franchises to 20 franchises and beyond? What does your day look like? So you mentioned that they weren't going to be working as a franchisee. They weren't going to be working in the business. They're going to be working on the business. How does things change for you as you grow your franchise system?
Yeah, great question. So, day one, both Dustin and I, we were in the trenches wearing every hat, doing all the sales calls, talking with prospect after prospect, thousands of prospects, until we finally were able to bring in, some of those first owners, right? And now that we have somebody, it's time to support them. And so thankfully there was two of us, so we could divide and conquer and continue to grow, while one was really focusing on sales and the other one was focusing on operations. And so as we continue to grow, just as we grew our in-home care business of shedding some of those responsibilities, we've built a team around us to help support us so we can continue driving the business forward and focusing on growth. So within our office now, we have a director of business support and development. That is who works with our franchisees through the launch of their business and is their support coach there forward. We also have 2 additional coaches who work with our owners, one of them on a marketing and referral basis side to where they're really giving them some usable content pieces, some verbiage and some things for them to implement in their referral marketing strategy, as well as on the operations side, someone who's working with them on the day-to-day on any kind of bookkeeping, billing, and payroll kind of needs. Also, we have a director of marketing who is the overseer of the marketing plan for the franchise system as a whole, as well as the franchise sales side. And it's their job to make sure that our franchise owners have optimized ways in which both digitally and kind of some traditional marketing can continue to bring in business and implement in new strategies, and always making sure that our website and social media and digital marketing is, at the forefront as well. Then on the sales and development side, I have somebody who is our, kind of my right-hand man in sales, who's taken on the majority of those sales processes. So implementing in that team has allowed Dustin and I to focus on the owners who have special requests or needs. Sometimes there's things in life that come up that throw a curveball in business ownership. And we've had business owners in the past that have had partnerships that have had some disputes that we have to be able to help them work through. People who, for whatever reason have taken focus off of business, and it's our job to steer them right back on track. But then also it's given us the chance to work on what are some other opportunities that our franchise owners who have gotten to that enterprise level, who are more of those overseers, what else can they do? Not only can they grow into more locations and better implement some of our diverse service lines that we have, but we also were able to start another line of franchise. And Greg, we had talked about this, and you've sent some people our way over to Legato Living franchise, which is a residential assisted living center for seniors with dementia, right? What better way to keep people independent and at home than actually having a home where those whose needs have kind of outgrown their own ability to stay at their own personal residence, but now they can move into another home with others who have similar needs, and they can have that attention and support that they need to keep them independent as long as possible. So that allowed, growing in this way and being able to start shedding some of those responsibilities, not having to be 100% in the trenches, really allows us to focus on driving our top producers and kind of any kind of specialty one-off circumstances with our owners, as well as other business opportunities for those who are knocking it out of the park and they want another opportunity to grow in business.
Perfect. Sounds like you're always thinking ahead. What's the next step? What are we going to do next? And how do we help people out? Not only franchisees, but most importantly, the clients themselves that really do need this kind of service on a regular basis. That
Absolutely.
Definitely something to feel good about. Jerod, I appreciate your time out there. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can go to aplaceathomefranchise.com. That's going to give you everything you need to know about becoming a franchise owner. If anybody out there listening to this needs services, we're across the United States. Check out aplaceathome.com, and we can always be reached through either of those methods, or simply direct at 402-281-0738. You give us a call. We'll make sure that we are there to support you in both business ownership as well as any kind of needs that you may have for your loved ones.
Appreciate that, Jerod. So whether you need services for your parents, relatives, whether it be an assisted living facility, senior care at home, or looking to get into a couple different types of franchises, reach out to Jerod, or just reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with Jerod. Either way works. Jerod, I appreciate your time today, sir.
Sounds great. We appreciate you, Greg. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thank you.